So there are variations of the knot. One thing you can do if you want to, right, this is more like the foolproof method, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, wrap that around the main line a few times. Bring that through here. Like I said, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. Right, grab onto both. Oh, that doesn't help. Grab onto both set of tag ends, not one like I did. My eyesight's going, people. So what you have there is you have a really compact and neat little braid monofilament knot. Easiest knot to do in the world, 100% breaking strain on the braid and the monofilament that you're using, or in this case, fluorocarbon. And then what you are is away. Now with the knot that's on there, right, that will offer minimum resistance when it's zooming through your guides, okay? And there is a weighted repair kit that you can use, or even if you just get a very, very small dollop of Celastic if you're worried about the impact when it's going through your guides, okay? Is we have a shock leader. All a shock leader is, normally it's about the length of your fishing rod. And what this does is if you're not confident with your knots, okay, which is a bit of an oxymoron, because if you can join braid to monofilament, you should be able to join braid to a swivel, but that's okay, each to their own, right? And then what you do then, right, is you grab a swivel, okay, and you only need one. Like I said, I bought a 50 pack. That should last me hopefully this year and next year, okay. So what you can do now, alrighty, is now you can just tie your normal fishing knots that you would tie when you're using monofilament. I always use the improved clinch knot. With the improved clinch knot, what that does is you have the tag end closest to the eye of the swivel or the hook that you're using. So when you lubricate the knot and you tighten the knot, it'll always bed in hard on the little tag end. My personal opinion, and remember all views in this live stream are my own, you take what you want out of it. I don't like using the uni knot because the uni knot has the tag end at the back of the knot, and I've had quite a few of them unravel, especially on big fish. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, through the little loop there that's the shape of a teardrop closest to the swivel, reach through, grab your tag end, bring that through like that, okay, ta-da. Teeth are just about stuffed anyway, so one more won't hurt. Now, what we've got there is we have monofilament to the swivel. Now, when it comes to the business end, right, with the business end of your rig, which is between the hook and the swivel, okay, or in this case the jig and the swivel, braid doesn't have as good abrasion resistance as monofilament. So if you're going to use monofilament, or in this case fluorocarbon, always have at least 40 to 50 centimeters of line, because what will happen is, right, is a lot of people make the mistake of only catering for the size of fish that they usually catch. Remember, your next cast could be the fish of a lifetime, right? So you must have your gear and your tackle ready for that. It doesn't matter if you'll catch 200 fish that are not too big, right? With the rig that you've got, you'll start to reduce your leader. So what'll happen is when you hook a big fish and you've only got 25 centimeters of leader, and then the fish will hit your soft plastic and turn, as the monofilament slides down the body of the fish, especially if they've got gill rakers or very sharp dorsal fins, okay, what'll happen is it'll get to 25 centimeters down the fish from where the hook has hooked the fish in the mouth, And if you've suddenly got braid instead of monofilament, what you'll find is the braid will tend to snap. So me personally, whenever I fish for soft plastics, I always use a 20 inch or a 50 centimetre leader. That way, if I bump into a fairly half decent fish, okay, I've got it covered. When you fish your jig head, right, always use a loop knot. When you use a loop knot, your catch rate will go up by about 40% on average, whether it's spinners, soft plastics, surface poppers, hard bodies, you name it, okay? Now, loop knots aren't hard to tie. First thing you do, okay, just tie yourself a little granny knot there. Right, now, little basics. Put the tag end through the eye of the hook. Get the granny knot as close to the hook eye as you can there, then pinch it. Bring the tag end back through the granny knot so you'll have like a half moon shaped loop and the actually granny knot itself, right? Pull that down, then you just do your simple improved clinch knot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, put that back into the loop where the granny knot was formed. Bring that back through here. Now, the mistake people made is they'll grab the tag end and pull it away from the lure. You don't want to do that, right? Or in this case, the jig head. All right, form the knot and pull it towards the jig head or the lure that you're using so it locks the knot in place. Okay, and then what you've got is you've got a beautiful little loop there. Now, couple of basics with your soft plastics and lure rigs. Never ever have a loop bigger than the gape or the length of the shank on the hook, because it'll tangle in the loop when you're casting it. About the size of the jig head in this case, which we have, is perfect. And then what you can do is you can alter the position of your soft plastics without any interference, okay? Now, I always tie the jig head on first before I tie it to the rig. It is much easier, okay, to get the length of your leader right, tying back to the swivel, than trying to tie on to the head last, because with your loop knots, they're a little bit difficult to gauge in how much line it extends. So what I've done here is, that's roughly about 45 centimeters. When I tie this knot, the leader will become longer, right? Especially if I use really big loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, back through here, back through there. Okay, see how the length of the leaders become longer, right? So what we have now is we virtually have a perfect little rig. So what we have here is we have a loop that's joining to the eye of the jig head. That is not much bigger than the jig head, which is fantastic. About 50 centimeters or 20 inches of fluorocarbon. We have a very small swivel, and then we have the shock leader to the braid. So now all we need to do is put a tail on there and cast it, okay? Personally, I have a theory: if you want quality, buy American products. Now, Z-Man lures are made in the USA. Before you put your soft plastic on, always measure, okay, where the hook needs to come out, right? So what we've got here on this little grub body, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 7 segments before it needs to come out, right? So it's very simple, right? Remember, you've just got to try and make it so that it looks as natural as possible. Super glue is fantastic for soft plastics, okay? You can super glue your soft plastics to the jig head with just a single drop of super glue. It'll keep it nice and straight, and that helps you quite a lot, and it does not affect your catch rate. The fish won't smell it. So what we do is, if you can just see here, see how we've got those little grooves there, right? So we've got to come out to 7. So what we'll do is we'll just dig in there like so, okay? We'll come out between the first and second groove, bring that down through here. Now, you've got to remember too, right, I'll show you this again. With soft plastics are usually built with a seam. What you've got to do is, when you look down the body of the soft plastic, you'll see a thin line, right? That will help you rig your soft plastic so it has the best action in the water. So I can just see the little line there, beautiful. Bring that in here, turn that around. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That goes through here. And voila, we have an absolutely perfectly presented soft plastic. Right, now the other important thing is too, see here with the tail, the soft plastic tail is in line with the actual hook and the jig head where it sits in the jig head with the hook. That will give you your maximum action. Okay. This is a braid knot that I've been using for about, I think I got shown this in 1992 or 93 when I was working at a retail store in Perth. Right, so, and I've used it ever since and it's never let me down. So basically, you get your braid, you put that in the eye of your swivel, okay? 12 wraps around like this. Right, 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so the little loop that's shaped like a tear drop between the braid that you've wrapped around the line and the swivel, you put it back through there, and then what you do is you just bring that up through here, forming a little circle like that, and another 12 times around the 12 times you've already done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whoops, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And then what you do is you just lubricate that. You just wrap that around the line, right? Pulling on the tag end at the same time. And then what you do, remember, braid has no stretch, so the knots form beautifully. And you'll have a point where all 24 loops that you've done bed in on themselves. And then what you end up with, right? Dave, how are you, bud? And then what you have is you have an absolutely fantastic little compact knot like that. Okay, see that there? Alrighty, and 100% breaking strain. It's simple basics. If you want to tie a leader that's about 50 centimeters long when you finish with your knots, you need to take about 75 centimeters of line off, okay? So if you got 50 meters of, say, line on a spool, you're fishing soft plastics in the lower breaking strains, you'll know that with 50 meters of line, you'll usually get about 60 rigs out of it, allowing for anger when you lose a fish, you know? So there's the granny knot. We'll put that through there, okay, like so. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, back through the loop formed by the granny knot in here. Now remember, don't pull the tag end away from the jig head or the lure. Pull it towards it so it locks the loop in. Okay. There we go. We have a slightly bigger loop than last time, but that will allow you more action. What happens is, people, when you use a loop on the end of your line, and I learnt this a long time ago with your lures, it allows you to present your lures with much more of an action than without using the loop knot, right? So what we want to do now is, and this is the simple method that I like to use, all right, but when you're showing people different techniques, you just give them the options and let them make their own mind up. Seven times around, back through the loop, back through the main loop here. Bring that down there, dun, 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 easy. Now that's how simple it is to set up for soft plastics, people. The rest of it's up to you. Like I said, you've got the color of your soft plastic tail, the size of the jig head, the length of the soft plastics, 2, 2.5, 3 inch, the diameter and also strength of your leader, and also what braid you're using. As an angler, what you need to do is you need to figure out the balance between all of that and try different things until they work. Then once it works, got to remember too, just say the sun is coming up just over the trees across the river and you're using one colour, and that works. Then once the sun lifts above the trees and it changes its hue, that colour stops working, so you need to figure out which other one works, you know. And there are some colours that tend to work in all conditions. So basically, as an angler, you need to figure that out and, you know, try and retain what you've been doing when you do it. What we have now, we have a beautiful 50 centimetre leader, a very small swivel. We've got braid coming in on this end. There's the fluorocarbon, and we have a beautiful little loop knot on our jig head, so we're ready to go. Hey, good old motor oil. Now, what I've done here is I've got a variety of different sizes of tails. I've got 2.5 inch, 3 inch, 3.5 inch, right? Now, like I said, a lot of it depends on you, okay? Now, if you have a look down here, see where that tail is flat, right? When they form these in the moulds, they usually have 2 moulds that press in from both sides. Can you see that line down the middle there, right? That is the line that you put your hook along with, and it's got to follow it. So when you do the point of the hook, right, you always turn it up. Don't do it like that, because what will happen is you'll have the tail sort of flat this way when your hook's that way. It won't work as well as if having the hook this way, then having the tail straight behind it, which is what it's designed to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure how far down. So basically that goes in there like that. We need to go in about halfway down, right? So what we'll do, and sometimes with your soft plastics, fishing the soft plastic with the tail this way will catch more fish than this way, and the other time it's the other way around. So you've always got to have little tricks up your sleeve, people, right? So then what we do is we bring that in, turn that around. We're going to put the point of the hook through that seam where the soft plastic has been pressed in the mould. Voila, see, look at that. Absolutely perfect presentation of that soft plastic, see? That's because we've measured it, and what we've done is we've brought that hook in along that seam. And what we've got now, if you have a look at this, you've got the soft plastic and the tail in line with each other. That maximises your chances of catching fish, okay? All right, so little things like that. It's a little 1%ers that add up to 100%. Remember that? Lovely. So this is a totally different profile to the other soft plastic tail that we used, right? Now hear that, okay? This cast went as far the first time as the previous assembly that we used on the soft plastics cast did the second time. So automatically there's less resistance there, right? And what I've got, because I've got a bigger tail, see how it's putting a slightly more deliberate bend in the rod, okay? Once again, I'm just going to say 3 words to you, and I hope that it improves your day or night or whatever, right? Keep being awesome.